Today, from the Mrs. Silva reading show, Mrs. Silva herself is reporting live off-site from her front porch with Chase Loki Silva.
I'm so glad to be here with our special guest Loki on the Mrs. Silva reading show. This is Loki Chase Silva. He's a Siberian Husky and he's my pet. We're going to be reading from the book, The Night I Followed the Dog. And let me tell you, this dog gets into lots and lots and lots of things. And I kind of wonder if maybe Loki does that at night. I don't know. We'll have to see. Or maybe your dog does that. Let's find out and see. The Night I Followed the Dog by Nina Layden. The Night I Followed the Dog. I had a dog. Nothing exotic or special, just an ordinary dog. In fact, I always thought he was a boring dog. What I mean is, he can fetch, roll over and shake hands, but mostly he sleeps and eats. I used to think that our next door neighbors had the best dog in the world. Their dog can sing and change the channels on the TV. Their dog always wins medals in obedience school, but I don't think their dog is so great now. Not since the night I followed my dog. Every night I let my dog out and he runs off into the darkness with his tail wagging. The next morning I let him in and he heads straight for the food bowl. But one morning I knew something was funny when I opened the door a little bit earlier than usual. And I saw my dog jump out of a limousine wearing a tuxedo. Before I could look twice, he disappeared into the backyard. I opened the kitchen door and whistled. When he came into the house, he was the same as he always is, hungry. I really wasn't sure that I believed what I had seen, so that night I decided to follow him. I wore dark clothing so I wouldn't be noticed, and I left my bicycle near the door so I'd have it close by. When I let the dog out, I slipped out too. I took out the garbage so he wouldn't suspect anything. The dog went straight to his doghouse. I saw a light go on inside. Slowly, I snuck around the backyard and peeked into the doghouse. This was not the doghouse that I had helped build. Inside there was a living room, a bathroom, and a huge closet full of fancy clothes. The dog was in the bathroom. He was wearing a tuxedo and fumbling with the bow tie. When he came out, he casually walked out of the doghouse, across the yard, and down the street. I grabbed my bicycle and followed him. 2 blocks later, I saw a limousine pull over. The dog got in and the car took off. I started pedaling faster. The car headed across town. I thought I would lose them, but luckily they were stopped by a few red lights. After a while, I found myself in a part of town that I had never seen before. The buildings all seemed to be empty and it was very quiet. The limousine stopped. I hid and watched my dog get out. He disappeared into a building and the limousine pulled away. There was nothing on the outside of the building, just 2 brass fire hydrants on either side of the entrance. I opened the door. At the end of the hall, there was a neon sign that said, "The Doghouse." I crept closer. It looked like some kind of club. I decided to get a closer look.
The moment I opened the door, two mean-looking bulldogs appeared and said, "You can't come in here." I didn't know what to say. So I said, but, 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 I saw my dog. I think my dog's in here." Just then, my dog walked over and said, "It's okay, boys. He's with me." The bulldog said, "Sure, boss. Whatever you say, boss." For a minute, that seemed like forever, I waited. Then my dog said, "I knew you would find out eventually." "Well, now you know. This is my place." I looked around. Finally, I asked, "What is this place?" My dog said, "This? This is a place where dogs come after a hard day. It's a place where we can relax. It's a place where we can talk about our problems with the mailman or the poodle next door." "See all the sofas? We can sit on the sofas here. We can get treats without having to lie down, roll over, or play dead. And if we want to chew on a shoe or chase our tail, no one will stop us. We have no masters here, no leashes, and no rolled up newspapers. This is a place where dogs can be dogs." We sat down. A cocker spaniel came by and asked me if I would like a bowl of water or some biscuits. Little by little, all dogs of all kinds started coming in. Some danced, some talked. They all looked at me a little funny, but when they saw who I was with, they smiled and shook my hand. At one point, my dog waved to an Afghan with a camera. She came over to our table and took a picture of us together. Being with my dog made me feel like a movie star. Just when I was really starting to enjoy myself, I looked at my watch. I told my dog I had to leave or I'd get in trouble. He nodded. I think he was about to say something, but a glamorous greyhound grabbed his paw and whisked him onto the dance floor. As he was getting up, he tossed me the photo of the two of us. Then he bowed slightly and disappeared into the crowd. It was way past my bedtime as I pedaled home into the cool night. I thought to myself, now I'm really going to be in the doghouse. But then again, that might not be so bad. The end. So The Night I Followed the Dog by Nina Layden has a main idea, just like anything else. Nonfiction or fiction are both going to have main ideas, and they're going to have supporting details. But let's take a look at that topic first. So, The Night I Followed the Dog. What do you think the topic is of this book? Take a look at the picture. The title is The Night I Followed the Dog. So it's about a boy that what? He follows his dog at night just to see what he's doing. So our topic is really a boy and his dog, or the night he followed the dog. Now the main idea, remember from yesterday, is the most important point the author's trying to make. So it's kind of what the whole book is about. So what do you think the point is that the author is making in this book? And there might be a couple of different ways to say it, but it's all going to go toward the same main idea. I'm going to give you a second to think about that. So what did you guys come up with? All right, so I hope you said that the main idea is about a boy that follows his dog and finds out about all the things that he does at night. And simply put, that's exactly what he does. He goes, he follows the dog, he finds out that his dog goes on all these things. He rides in a limousine. He is the boss of a club. He meets a greyhound, all of those things. Now, those things are going to be more of those details, of course, and supporting details, but the main idea for sure we know is that it's about a boy that follows his dog. So at night, so a boy follows his dog one night. And he found out some pretty cool things about the dog. Do you think your pets do that at night? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. Loki does come back with sunglasses on every once in a while. Just kidding. So again, the main idea is the most important point the author's trying to make. Now, the theme, we've talked about theme a little bit before. Theme is not quite the main idea. It's going to be tied to that main idea, but it's not going to be the main idea. And we'll talk about theme later, and you can be kind of mulling over what you think the theme of this book is. But I'll tell you this, it does have something with the dog getting a little bit of freedom every once in a while, which he likes. But the main idea is that the boy is following his dog. So now we have our main idea, but I want to know, how do we know that this is the main idea, that this is about a boy that follows his dog one night? Well, what kinds of things does he do? He follows his dog on his bicycle, right? He follows his dog to this club that gets stopped by these big, mean bulldogs. And what does the dog do? He's like, oh, it's okay. He's with me. And they're like, oh, it's okay, boss. So the boy finds out that he's kind of a big shot. He's a big wig. He sees his dog getting into a limousine. He sees his dog getting out of a limo with sunglasses. He actually gets to sit down and hang out with his dog a little bit. Those are our supporting details. So he follows his dog on his bicycle. He follows the limousine. And we're going to shorthand this, but he follows the limo. What did he do? He hung out with his dog. I've never hung out with my dog quite like that. And then he discovers that his dog is basically a boss. So it's really interesting that our nonfiction main idea told us about the Titanic, and it told us straight facts, and those supporting details were facts. And when we learned about the 3 branches of government, again, those supporting details were facts. Now, with our main idea and details for a fiction book, they're not necessarily facts, because I really don't think, and who knows, your dog may do this, but it's not really a fact that a dog's getting into a limo, or you're hanging out with your dog and talking to them, or your dog is the boss of some kind of big place. So those things are facts inside of the book, but they're not facts in real life. So depending on what genre you're reading, if you're doing fiction or nonfiction, that's how you're going to determine your main idea and your supporting details. So your main idea is going to be a fact, and then your supporting details are going to be facts. Whereas with this one, it's a tiny bit different, because the main idea is a little bit harder to pull out, and the supporting details, there could be a lot of them, and they're a little bit harder to pull out. But regardless, every single book is going to have a main idea, and it's going to have details. If it doesn't, then it's probably not a very good book. And the same thing in our writing, just like we've been doing in our animal papers, it needs to have a main idea, and it needs to have those supporting details that come in and support it. So, The Night I Followed the Dog by Nina Layden. If you want to hear that read again to you, you can play the video over again, or you can also look up on YouTube. There are some other people that read it as well.
Did you guys enjoy the book, The Night I Followed the Dog? I think it's a pretty great book. Are you going to follow your dog tonight? Or I'm going to follow Loki tonight and see what he does, maybe. Probably not, I'm gonna sleep anyways. But it's cool that you can learn about main idea and supporting details even from a fiction book, not just from a nonfiction book. We'll see you next time on the Mrs. Silva Show.
We'll see you next time on the Mrs. Silva Reading Show.